Hello, welcome back to Show and Tell. This is a vintage knitting podcast and I am your host, Billie. Today I wanted to talk to you about the 1935 holiday jumper as seen here. I am doing this as a knit along. If you're interested in participating in the knit along, some of us are quite a bit of the way through, but I've recorded all of the episodes, so you would still be able to watch them and catch up to us. Information on how to do that is in the show notes below. I am knitting mine in colors very similar to the colors of the original. This is not exactly royal blue, but pretty close to a royal blue, and not a pure white, maybe kind of like an ivory. These are a Pasquale yarn called Arctic Pearl. It's sea cell, 100% lycocell, a seaweed product. It's a chainette construction, almost like a flat tape, a very narrow flat tape. It's been kind of interesting to knit with. Let me start by saying that vintage patterns are a slightly different universe than what a contemporary knitter may be used to. The instructions are usually very brief. They fit on one page sometimes. There's almost never a chart of any sort. And there's a lot of moving parts. So in this particular sweater, there's a front and a back, 2 sleeves, and 2 collar pieces that all need to be assembled. Let me show you my progress. So for me, when I started knitting the back, I didn't realize how much stretch there was going to be, because the whole thing is ribbing with this very interesting horizontal bar. So it has a lot of stretch in the width. Also unique to this pattern is the front has a different measurement than the back. So a different number of stitches are cast on for the front and for the back. Initially, when I cast on the back, I thought that was going to be the back, but after I knit quite a bit of it, I saw it was probably a little too wide, so I decided to rename it the front and continue on. Essentially, they are both knitted the same up until the underarm, so it was easy for me to switch depending on which one I wanted to call which. So that may sound confusing, so let me demystify it. This is now the front of my sweater. This little silver pin is marking the center of the V-neck. So that's coming like to here. And this is to the top. It goes all the way down to nothing, so it's unusual. And you can see the sleeve is going to have to come up to here too. So I have only knitted this shoulder piece. I haven't done the other half yet. But there's a method to my madness. This is the flip side, this is the back. And I've just now started decreasing. This is going to come up in a different way. It doesn't split because there's no V-neck in the back. This is just going to come up to here. So kind of like on an angle straight up towards the neck. So again, the back is narrower than the front. The way the decreases are is different on the front and the back. Here you just start decreasing every row. Here you decrease like you would in contemporary patterns, a number of stitches first and then the slanted part. So you would think that the sleeve would have something different on the left and the right to accommodate the different decrease method of the front of the sweater and the back of the sweater, but it does not. The pattern for the sleeve, surprisingly, is symmetrical. The decreases on the left edge are the same as the decreases on the right edge, even though you remember me just saying that the front of the sweater has a different decreased situation than the back of the sweater. So I really don't know how that's going to work out. I'm assuming because of this flexibility that I'll just be able to ease it in and it's going to work. But that was kind of like a weird situation. This is my sleeve so far. I haven't knit all the way to the end because I really wanted to wait and see how this was going to fit into the front. And I'm still not 100% sure yet, but it is going to be something like this. So I probably have a little more to go up here. This looks like it's going to be very tight, but again, it's all ribbed. This is knit one, purl one all the way. So there's quite a bit of stretch. I know it will go around my arm. And then the last section is the collar. This is one half of the collar. Last time I showed this to you, I had only done this part. I hadn't done the other edge in blue. This is sewn on, it's a separate piece and mitered in the corner. I think when this is blocked, I'll be able to get it to be like more squared off. So that's sewn on separately, right there. I suppose I could have just picked up the stitches, but I was making an effort to follow the pattern as much as I could. Of course, I had to adapt my stitch count to accommodate for my bust not being what the pattern called for. Another thing that's a little strange is the collar. The pattern tells you that, I think they call it a pig's ear, that this little pig's ear is gonna tie in the front. And it kind of gives you like a little, not exactly a notch, but you know, there's an impression there where you think it's going to tie. And then they say it ties in the back as well. Well, I don't think there's going to be enough fabric to do that. And on this piece, I'm perfectly at gauge. There's no resizing involved in this. I only need to resize for bust. So I think at the end of the day, I'm probably just going to stitch this together with its counterpart in the back of the neck. I don't know why they were saying tie it in the back. I just don't think there's enough fabric to be able to tie front and back. So I did have a little bit of a conundrum along the way. Initially, I had purchased 4 balls of the blue because I thought the yardage of that plus 1 ball of the white would have been enough. But at a certain point I thought, just in case, I better buy a 5th ball of blue because I want to make sure I don't fall into that trap of having to like search for somebody who's got the exact dye line. So I went ahead and I bought a 5th ball, knowing that if I didn't cut into it, that I'd be able to return it untouched. But when I got to a certain point in the sweater, I was able to measure on a scale the one sleeve and the one half of the collar, because the second half of the collar is going to be mostly blue and the other sleeve will be all blue. So I knew I needed at least this much more blue in addition to this part of the front that I haven't knit yet and the whole part of the back from the underarms up that I haven't knit yet. I hope it's making sense to you that I realized that these 2 alone were going to be the better part of 1 ball. So I know I'm not going to use up the entire 5th ball, but I would have had to dip into it eventually. So to make it easy for myself and not have a lot of ends to weave in, I started my 5th ball of blue at a point that it was convenient for me. Having one of those little scales is a really handy thing to have. If you don't have one, they're very inexpensive. There's a link in my show notes to where you can get one of those small scales. How's everybody coming along with this whole tariff situation? What a nightmare. I have bought yarn from some overseas companies who've been sending me emails, keeping me updated about the situation on their end of shipping into the United States. And you probably got these emails too about we're terminating our shipping to the US until we figure it out, or until our mail service of our country figures out the administrative nightmare. It's embarrassing as an American that, we've thrown the rest of the world into this chaos, but hopefully things will settle down. It does seem like companies are starting to ship again, and prices are going to be going up, which is, I hope there'll come a time when the prices will roll back, the tariffs will be lifted. One can dream, right? I hope it hasn't affected anybody too negatively, especially the companies, because a lot of these companies are small businesses. I know that I've mentioned that in October I'm heading back to Paris. This will be my 17th visit. I'm always excited to go there. It is, after New York, where I reside, Paris is absolutely my second favorite city. My husband keeps teasing me, like, why don't you just move there already? And my cousin David, who's a native of France, says, like, they ought to make you an honorary citizen. You've been here so many times. I really don't have the desire to live there, but I certainly love to visit. I have a feeling a lot of you feel that way about New York. Love to visit, wouldn't want to live there. You'd be surprised. I mean, at least English is spoken here. If my French were impeccable, maybe it would be a little easier to live there. I don't know. It's okay for a couple weeks at a time. It seems like there's a lot of bureaucracy there, and even the French struggle with it. So for me as an American, I just don't think I can endure that. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is I want your advice on something. I want your suggestions. I have been there many times, it's true. I've been to all of the major museums and many of the smaller ones as well. So I'm looking for things that are a little more off the beaten path. So if you have been to France, especially Paris, and have done things in the outskirts of Paris, like, I've been to Fontainebleau, I've been to Versailles, I've been to Vaux-le-Vicomte, and many other places, but I want your recommendations. What have you seen, what have you done in Paris that you think most tourists may not have seen, because that's probably something that I too have not seen. So off the beaten path stuff, a special street that you love, a special flea market, a special vegetable market, stuff like that, but also interesting shops, the yarn shops I'm familiar with already. But if there's something like really niche that you think I should visit, please leave comments below, and I will take them into consideration. Now, my next thing I'm looking for suggestions on is what yarns to buy there. Last time I went looking for French yarns, and I came home with a British yarn from a French shop, so at least I patronized one of the adorable Parisian yarn shops, Les Tricoteurs Volants. Hi Enrico, if you're watching, I will come back and visit you in your new location this trip if I have a chance, of course, and I hope to be able to shop with you. But I'd love to know, when people are in France, what are the yarns that they're most looking for? And what do you think I should be knitting on the flight over and on the flight back? I'm not going to have time probably to knit while I'm there, because I'm going to be at a conference for 5 days. It's going to be pretty rapid pace, but certainly the flights, I'll have time to really get down to some serious knitting while I'm watching a movie, of course. I hope to have my black cardigan finished by then, and I hope to have this blue and white sweater finished by then. So I'm going to be ready to cast on something new. It would be great if I had new yarn purchased there. Yeah, maybe I could finish something on the way over and then purchase yarn there and start that project on the way home. I don't know, but I'm really kind of at a loss at the moment of what I should knit next. I was thinking that I might like to make this blue and white sweater part of a twin set and maybe make a little cardigan that would go on top of it. If you have any ideas that you think would work with that sweater, please leave me the name of the pattern or a link to Ravelry to go look at it. What was that little laugh about? Leave me the link from Ravelry or the name of the pattern so I can go look for it. And if you have anything else that you'd like to see me knit, this would be a good opportunity for you to weigh in. What do you want to see Billie knit next? Because I'm somewhat open. Should it be vintage? Should it be not vintage? Should it be lace? Should it be color work? Should it be intarsia? I don't know. I'd love to know what you think I should be knitting. I had promised to share with you a list of these Art Deco films that the Film Forum in New York is going to be showing from now until the end of the year. I gave you the first, I don't know, handful. I'm not sure where I left off on the list, but I think that I had mentioned Penthouse from 1933, but I don't think I've given you Girls About Town, 1931, George Cukor, famous director. A Woman of Affairs, 1928. Pandora's Box, 1929. Starring Louise Brooks. Broadway, 1929. Madame Satan, 1930, Cecil B. DeMille. Remember Last Night, 1935. Dancing Lady, 1933. Ladies' Man, 1931. Footlight Parade, 1933. I'm going to stop there. There are many more to come, so stay tuned next time and get some more movie tips. Take care, everybody. Happy knitting. See you next time.